A major European political party just called for England's Football Association and UEFA to walk away from FIFA entirely and build a brand new governing body from scratch. That's not a fan on social media. That's a party leader, on the record, saying football's global governing body is, in his words, corrupt beyond repair. And he's not alone. A president of one of the biggest football leagues on the planet has publicly called for FIFA's president to resign. The Council of Europe, an actual international institution, has formally demanded FIFA rebuild its integrity framework before the next World Cup. This isn't outrage bait. This is a genuine, growing movement in Europe questioning whether football's biggest institution can be trusted at all. If you're new here, welcome. This channel covers football's biggest controversies using confirmed reporting, not speculation. Today, we're covering a story that's bigger than any single match, the growing European movement to break away from FIFA entirely. We'll cover the incident that lit the fuse, who's joined the call since, what the Council of Europe just formally demanded, and why, despite all this noise, an actual breakaway is much harder than it sounds. To understand why Europe is this angry, you have to go back to one specific decision during this year's World Cup. USA striker Folarin Balogun was shown a red card during the tournament, which under normal FIFA rules should have triggered a mandatory one-match suspension. Instead, that suspension was lifted, clearing him to play in USA's quarterfinal against Belgium. What turned this from a footballing decision into a full-blown institutional crisis was the reported context behind it. Multiple outlets reported the reversal followed direct communication between then-President Donald Trump and FIFA President Gianni Infantino. Photos even circulated of Infantino ushering Trump off the stage so Spain could celebrate their eventual World Cup win. A small moment that, in this context, became a symbol of exactly the dynamic critics were accusing FIFA of. UEFA itself, European football's own governing confederation, publicly criticized the decision, calling it, in their words, unprecedented, incomprehensible, and unjustifiable, and warning it could set a dangerous precedent for how FIFA applies its own rules going forward. When UEFA, an organization that operates as one of FIFA's own 6 continental confederations, is using language that strong about its parent body, you know something has genuinely cracked. That crack turned into an open political demand a short time later. The UK's Liberal Democrats formally called on the English Football Association and UEFA to withdraw from FIFA completely. Party leader Ed Davey didn't hold back, describing FIFA as corrupt beyond repair and stating the only way forward is a coordinated withdrawal by the FA, alongside other European football bodies, to build a new governing structure entirely. Davey went further, accusing Infantino of crossing red lines repeatedly and of letting corporate greed exploit fans while damaging the integrity of the sport. The Lib Dems didn't stop at rhetoric. They tied it to concrete grievances fans are actually feeling. Ticket prices at this World Cup reportedly reached over £24,000 for finals-level demand pricing, driven by FIFA's dynamic pricing model. There were also reports of fans and even match officials being turned away at the border during the tournament. The party's core argument? FIFA no longer serves the game or the people who show up for it. It serves political and corporate interests first. They've also renewed their call for Infantino's resignation and demanded FIFA officials appear before Parliament to answer for how the organization is run. Now, it's worth being precise about what this actually is politically. This is one political party's position, a prominent one, but still a single party's call, not an official UK government position or a formal UEFA decision. That distinction matters because plenty of headlines are blurring it, but it's still significant because it's the clearest public call yet for an actual institutional break from FIFA, not just criticism of a single decision. If you're getting real value from this breakdown, hit like. It helps this video actually reach people following the story, not just the algorithm. And tell me in the comments, do you think a genuine breakaway from FIFA is realistic? Or is this all just pressure tactics that fade once the news cycle moves on? I'll be reading through. Here's what makes this different from a typical political pylon. It's not just politicians saying this. People inside the football industry itself are saying it. La Liga president Javier Tebas publicly stated that Infantino should resign, accusing FIFA of, in his words, destroying the football industry by expanding international competitions at the expense of domestic leagues and clubs, a long-running grievance of his, but one he's now tying directly to the Balogun controversy specifically, calling FIFA's handling of that suspension into question too. What Tebas said next is arguably the most damning part of the whole story. He acknowledged that plenty of people inside football privately oppose Infantino and disagree with how he's running things, but pointed out that there's no serious opposition candidate willing to actually run against him because nobody wants to run just to lose. In his own words, the system is flawed from the ground up. That's not an outsider throwing stones. That's the head of one of the most powerful domestic leagues in the world, describing FIFA's internal politics as so consolidated around Infantino that meaningful opposition can't even get off the ground through normal channels, which is exactly why frustrated parties are increasingly talking about walking away entirely instead of trying to reform FIFA from within. If the Lib Dems call was the loudest political shot, this next one is the most institutionally serious. The Council of Europe, a real international body focused on human rights, democracy, and the rule of law across the continent, issued a formal rebuke of FIFA, demanding the organization build a strict integrity framework before the 2020 World Cup. Secretary General Alain Berset specifically warned that football's regulatory foundations have been compromised by aggressive commercial betting partnerships and unchecked political interference. The council pointed directly at the Balogun reversal as the clearest example of what they call the catastrophic failure of institutional autonomy. The idea that if disciplinary rulings can be suspended under political pressure once, every subsequent result becomes open to legitimate doubt. This is a meaningfully bigger deal than a single-party statement. The Council of Europe is a multinational institution weighing in on FIFA's governance the same way it would weigh in on judicial independence or press freedom in a member state. That's the scale this controversy has reached. So, realistically, could this actually happen? Here's the honest complication. As of right now, UEFA is still fully operating as one of FIFA's 6 continental confederations. Its criticism has been sharp, but it hasn't taken any formal step toward withdrawal. The Lib Dems call is a political demand, not a decision made by the FA or UEFA's own governing structures. And this isn't the first time FIFA has faced this kind of pressure. Back during the Sepp Blatter era, top European football officials, including the heads of the Dutch and English federations, publicly called for Blatter to step down amid corruption allegations tied to the 2018 and 2022 World Cup bidding process. Blatter stayed in power for years after that pressure campaign began. FIFA also weathered a genuinely massive corruption scandal that led to suspended bidding processes and real criminal indictments, and the organization is still standing, still running World Cups, still commercially dominant. So, history suggests loud European criticism, even from serious institutional voices, doesn't automatically translate to structural change. FIFA controls enormous global revenue, media rights, and the loyalty of federations well outside Europe who don't share these grievances the same way Europeans do. A breakaway body would need buy-in from confederations across multiple continents to have any real competitive legitimacy, and right now, this is overwhelmingly a European conversation. If you want a genuine signal of whether this goes anywhere, don't watch the political statements, watch UEFA's own formal actions. Does UEFA's executive committee ever put a withdrawal motion on the table? Does any national federation beyond the UK formally back the Lib Dems call? Does Infantino face an actual opposition candidate in the next FIFA presidential election? Given Tebas's point that nobody's currently willing to run, those are the concrete markers that would tell you this is moving from outrage into actual institutional change, rather than staying a very loud, very justified, but ultimately symbolic pressure campaign. So here's where this stands. A red card reversal tied to reported political pressure has snowballed into a UK political party demanding a total European withdrawal from FIFA. a major league president calling for Infantino's resignation, and the Council of Europe formally demanding structural reform. That's an extraordinary amount of pressure in a short window. But FIFA has weathered pressure campaigns before and come out the other side largely unchanged. Let me know in the comments, do you think this actually leads somewhere, or does FIFA ride this out like it always has? Subscribe if you want the follow-up the moment UEFA or the FA make any formal move.